It's 29 degrees in Jacksonville, 14 degrees in Gateshead, 15 in Antrim. I'm Jay Lawrence, still no relation. He's Kee Ramsar, and this is your Jaguars podcast with an extra UK and Ireland flavour, whatever you might consider that to be. How's it going, Kee? Are you okay?
I'm okay. The loss...
is all it is.
Okay, I'm not giving you any more than that, Jay. The loss on Sunday was tough, but your mention of Gateshead has brought it all back. Like, I'm now doing okay.
Well, we are going to discuss, obviously, the loss on Saturday coming up in this episode. Foye Oluokon, the Jags middle linebacker, he sat down with Kee this week post Miami Dolphins game. We have actually, as our fans, something a little bit different this week. Reece Parkinson. So Kee interviews Reece. And Reece interviews Kee as well, which is actually the thing that I'm most excited for, to be honest with you, about the new season of Jaguars Weekly UK on Sky. So I mean, how was it for you getting interviewed, Kee? Was it a nice surprise? Was it a nice thing to happen?
It was lovely. So what we did was I interviewed Reece for this podcast, and then Reece interviewed me for the TV show.
So that will be the least viewed part of the TV show. Is that correct? Is that what we're anticipating?
What are you trying to say? I know you're bitter about the loss, mate, but can we be civil?
Well, look, we'll talk about that in a second. We obviously are going to talk about the upcoming game against the Cleveland Browns as well. We won't focus loads on that heartbreaking opener against Miami. We will talk about it. Kee, though, I do want to talk to you about one thing, actually. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of this already, so this might be a little bit of a surprise.
Okay.
A bit of news about the Jaguars game at Wembley next month. I would actually call it breaking news. I would. This is breaking news, Kee, so much so that you were unaware of this. Go on. So, what do you reckon? You know, what is probably the most said word at a Jaguars game, do you think? What is the
Duval.
most... You think it's Duval? And it's said...
I'm not
no, don't say any other words.
Came into my head.
Don't say any other words.
Myself.
Can you give us a big Duval? Can you do that for us?
Duval!
Okay, I regret that. I think the microphone might have broken there.
Yeah, my microphone totally peaked.
Definitely peaked a little bit. Well, I got this email the other day, actually. I'll read it to you, actually. Shall I do that?
Go on.
Let's do that.
I'm
going to read you this email.
I'm so curious.
Okay. Hello. Hope you're well. Would you like to do the first Duval for us from the Royal Box at Wembley on game day? Who's going to be doing that, Kee? I'm going to be doing that.
Dude, I love that. That's so awesome. Amazing.
I am unbelievably nervous to do this, Kee. I am so, like, I talk to people, I'm on podcasts, I'm on radio or whatever, but literally you have one word to do, and if you do it wrong, there's going to be the whole of Wembley Stadium watching.
What do you think? Do you think you might say move on instead?
I think I'm more likely. Do you know what? Genuinely, what I'm a bit concerned about is like my voice cracking. You know, like when you're a bit nervous or whatever.
Yeah. And
like your voice. Oh, that would be
Jay,
awful.
You could ask them to do a pre-record and then lip sync it. Do a Britney.
I literally thought that earlier today. I was like, no, that would be even worse, I think, even more embarrassing. But I cannot tell you how excited and how honoured, genuinely, how honoured I am, because I think it's going to be, it's a big moment in every Jags fan's, life going to a game at Wembley Stadium, and I'm going to be ruining it by starting it.
I don't believe it for a second. Jay, I'm so chuffed for you, man. That's really cool. That's really nice.
I'm really excited, and yeah, it's going to be It's going to be an amazing moment from the Royal Box as well, which I've never been to. Do
you know what I'm going to do, Jay? I'm going to film it and I'm going to put it in Jaguars Weekly UK so that all the viewers can see you doing it.
Could you do it? But it's going to be, yeah. I tell you what, can I be a diva and get final approval of whether it goes in, whether or not my voice does break, or if I end up... Do you know what? I'm going to be thinking throughout the whole thing. Don't say Mouval. Don't say Mouval. Don't say Mouval.
I'll be texting you before. Hey, Jay, make sure you don't say Mouval.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. Obviously, it's a few weeks away, so I need to get into some open space or something. to practice.
I'll have a good old practice.
If I'm having a good old practice here, my neighbours are going to be extremely confused. Maybe I should put a letter through their door.
Microphone technique as well, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get really close to the mic. There's going to be feedback through like the whole of Wembley Stadium. But no,
pressure.
Very excited, very honoured. Thank you very much to the Jacksonville Jaguars for asking me to do that, because
mate,
that is going to be. That's going to be really cool. Now let's get on to something that I'm not so excited to talk about, but I feel like we do have to talk about it regardless.
Yeah.
Jacksonville Jaguars lost in week 1.
Yeah.
A close game. Such an amazing first half from a Jags perspective, from a Jags offensive perspective as well. Hard watch in the second. Jags losing heartbreakingly, really, to a last second field goal. 2017 it went down in the end to the Miami Dolphins. And 3 minutes earlier, I was actually thinking of you, Kee, because it looked like the Jags could have the opportunity to get downfield, roll that clock down to the 1 second and try and get Cam Little to score that last second field goal. But they weren't able to, several sacks later, the Miami Dolphins have the ball again. Disappointing. Do you have any broad takes on it?
Broad takes, right? I was very tempted. I was very close to being pessimistic and saying a couple of things. I'll say a couple of thoughts that I had about it, but then I'm going to switch and go positive, right? The couple of thoughts that I had was, even in the 22 season when we made the playoffs, there was a tendency to not finish games. For example, the Eagles game, right? We should have been winning that Eagles game in 22, and we didn't. And there was a tendency last season to not finish games and to lose to elite teams. And it felt like, Sunday felt a little bit like that. But I'm not going to do that, because there was enough positives in the first 3 quarters. I'm going to say, they played 75%, a really good game. Yes, I understand it's 4 quarters and you've got to finish games, but there was enough positivity in there on Sunday for me to not get worried. The sky isn't falling. It's not the end of the season. There's 16 more games left. It's not the end of the world. It'll all be okay. And there was enough positive stuff there for me to go, it's all going to be okay. Relax. Which is the little talk that I gave to myself at the end of the game.
I love the fact that, we can count ourselves as, not predicting the future by any means, but we can count ourselves as that, 2 people that we did talk up last week, showed up, I suppose. Brian Thomas Jr., what have we been saying over the last few weeks? He should have had 2 touchdowns. I mean, he had an amazing touchdown, but he could have easily had 2 if it weren't for that Jalen Ramsey offensive pass interference, which did lead to a touchdown, of course, for the Jags. Cam Little as well. I mean, you were huge on him. I mean, he got a 50-plus yarder, which is
53, was it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Great start to his career as well. We can. The Travis Etienne fumble, it looked like it was going to be a great victory if it wasn't for that fumble essentially on the goal line. You just move on. You move on, Kee. Where did you watch it?
So I watched it in Brighton with a very large dog, and it was great. It was great fun. It was like the first 3 quarters of that match was really great, and then it was absolutely heartbreaking. I will say one positive thing though. I think when you look at what the offensive line was doing last year, and I'm not saying they blew the Dolphins out of the water at all, but the offensive line was better. I think Mitch Morse made a big difference. I think there's improvements to be made for sure, but particularly with pass protection. But actually, with the run game, I thought the offensive line stepped up, and it was good to see that. That was one thing that I thought, there's something improving here. I've got
to work on my what I do on a Sunday night though to watch these games.
What were you doing,
I've been looking forward to the NFL season for such a long time, but I almost felt stressed and overwhelmed because I thought, let's try and watch as many games as possible. Oh my, Kee. It's I don't know if that's the way I should go looking forward. I had a laptop with Jags game on laptop.
How many screens did you have?
I had 2 screens, but the thing is what I kind of realised is you can watch. So on my TV, I can watch a couple games. So I had Red Zone, I had another game, and then I sort of flicked between, and then I had the Jags game as well. So I have too much going on. It's like, where am I looking at one time? I don't know what to do in the future. And in fact, you can get in touch with us over Twitter on the Jags handle, or on Instagram as well. If you've got any ideal solutions for how to watch on a Sunday night. What's the best way to watch on a Sunday night? Great. You can send pictures, actually, if you are listening to this just before the game on Sunday or something. I want to know what your setup is, because essentially I need to improve mine. I'm not happy with it. I felt overwhelmed. I felt stressed, and you need to feel zen, don't you? Or as zen as possible when you're watching the NFL. I just didn't feel it.
I don't know that you do. So I did similar to you. I had Red Zone and the Jags game on. And for me, I like a little bit of that intensity, especially with 2 sets of commentary going on.
Oh no, that's too much. It's too much for me.
I don't think I could do a Sunday without Scott Hanson. It doesn't feel right.
I don't think you can do a Sunday without you either, to be fair, Kee. You can send a photo of your setup. I'd be very interested. You can tag us in your Instagram stories at Jaguars UK NIE on Instagram. We'll speak more about the Cleveland. We'll leave Miami there. Miami's there. It's still in South Florida. It's done. It's done. We'll leave it there. We will speak about the Cleveland Browns game shortly. Of course, the next game, week 2 of the NFL season. Let's get into, though, the featured interview of today's episode. Kee, somebody that, you know very well, I suppose.
Oh, I wouldn't say very well.
I think you're best friends.
He did text me. No, he didn't. Foye is, he's a great dude, first and foremost. And I think a phenomenal player, goes under the radar a little bit, but his stats are unbelievable. Sorry, I'm getting a call, Jay. I'm going to go back on.
Is that Foye, is it?
That was Foye calling.
Is that Foye?
Unreal. He knew. He heard his name mentioned. Foye goes under the radar. His stats are phenomenal. And I think that's to do with his work ethic and his competitiveness. And so, I chatted to him after the Dolphins game. Really reflective, lots of interesting things to say.
Okay, let's hear Foye Oluokon speaking to Kee.
I have only one question about Sunday, which was, how did it feel? We're not going to talk too much about the loss. How did it feel to be back on the field, man?
It was exciting. I don't think I ever get less nervous as the years go on for that first game. And then kind of in preseason, I didn't really get to play anyway, just kind of nursing a little hamstring, just to get back out there with the boys, and even in a new scheme and stuff. It's just always exciting. And then going against, an offense that is supposed to be really good. You just want to go out there and play your best and make sure that everything looks good on tape. It was exciting, but I was nervous to start the game. I am nervous in the locker room and everything, just because so many expectations are put on yourself by yourself, and then you always want to be up playing at your best when the best is required. So that'll never leave, just that nervousness, but excitement for sure.
Amazing. And thinking about going into the Browns game, what adjustments do you think you might be making for that?
We got to dive into what the Browns do. I know for the past, week and a half, we've been all Miami. But week to week, game plans can change. So I'm sure we'll have a couple base calls that we carry week to week. But we got to see what the Browns specialize in and how they try to attack defenses, how we think they'll try to attack us based off what they know about us. But it's early in the season. So people have their identities. You kind of try to match offensive identities. And then when you find out what their tendencies are, then you know exactly what your game plan will be.
And I'm thinking about that, and I'm remembering back to on the player tour, when we were on the bus, most people are listening to a podcast or watching a video on their phone. Do you remember what you were doing?
Yeah, I had to study up on my playbook for sure.
You were studying the playbook. So, dude, where does that work ethic come from?
I have Nigerian parenting, and I feel like when you have immigrant parents and they're doing their best to, get you to square one in this country, you don't want to have that go to waste. So, a lot of it was put on me and my brother to become successful however it looked. We did a lot of different things. We're always kind of pushed to be the best at them. But kind of with that, you understand that maybe you're not naturally the best. You might have to work at it some. So I think in order to be the best, I had to really study up my playbook, be a little step ahead in terms of learning defenses, what could happen instead of just straight reacting to it. Because I came in this league not even as a linebacker, so every year I'm learning something different. I think if I can just stay a step ahead mentally, that'll help me play a lot faster.
And your competitiveness is something else I noticed on the tour as well. There was one moment where you and Ross Matasic are trying to out-throw each other to some jag tag kids. Does that competitiveness run throughout your life and onto the field as well?
Yeah, growing up, I didn't say I had a problem, but it got me into some trouble always competing. And then, I hate when people tell me things like, oh, it's just a game. It's just a game. Like, no, I'm trying to win at everything I do. It's more fun when I win. Life is more fun when you win. And I think that if you kind of make whatever scenario into a win and loss scenario, it kind of fuels you to be at your best in order to get the most out of each scenario. So I am very competitive. Me and my brother didn't get along for a long time because we always compete. But I think it does fuel you to go even higher in life. I remember even in school, I had one of my good friends. He's actually a doctor now. We used to compete in like chemistry class. We bet a penny on every test. But did I always win? No, but it always fueled me to have, better grades just to not lose my penny every test.
Amazing. That level of competitiveness, was that there for the 2023 game against the Falcons? What was that like, playing against your old team and beating them as well?
Yeah, I for sure didn't want to lose because I did leave them. I had a lot of familiar faces, and I think the worst thing in life is like when somebody has that over you, like, oh, I beat you. Like that really pisses me off. So I couldn't let that happen. Obviously, it's not just me; it's the full team. But you don't want to know all these guys and then have them always go, "Oh yeah, I remember we played you and we beat you." No, I don't like that at all. So that competitive side definitely came out. Pre-game speeches or whatever. It's actually me and another guy, Calvin Ridley. We played well that game too. So I was very happy to get the win.
Fantastic. And how are you feeling about coming back over this season for 2 more games in London?
I'm excited. I look forward to the trip every year now. The first time I went, it was a learning experience. We did, like, I think I was with the Falcons. We played the Jets, and that was a learning experience. My sleep schedule was all messed up. But now that I know how to do it, I embrace the trip for sure. And then now that we get to even spend more time out there, it's definitely very cool. Actually, when we get over there, it's like, oh, now I kind of just want to stay because coming back, you got to do it all over again with the time change and everything. But it's a fun trip for sure. And I just want to make sure we come out with 2 wins, and then it's the best trip ever.
Lovely. So, dude, you're getting to know the UK a little bit now. So what are some of the things that you love about the UK? And maybe what's one thing that you don't love quite so much?
It's a little bit of a Northeast feel, but you guys have a lot more history. I like the history about it, and you kind of just look around, especially when you're driving through the countryside. I don't know if y'all are as much battle-ridden as us, wars and stuff. I just kind of think like what probably happened way back in the day on these fields and stuff. But the city is crazy. You have the history in the city, and it's a little bit nicer than, like I say, our New York and everything, our Philly and stuff. Like it's way more structured, I feel like, and I just like going around seeing all the new places. I think it's great with diversity, just because there's so many people that come to London and stay in London, work in London. So culturally, you're going to run into so many different things that I didn't even know I would see all these types of people there. But I like, watching that soccer game last year, Tottenham versus, no one Tottenham, it was Fulham versus Chelsea, the Cottage or whatever. Yeah, I was really excited. I always, I grew up playing soccer. I always wanted to see a Premier League game. So hopefully there'll be more when we go back over there in a few weeks, and I want to see another one.
And what about one thing that's you're not quite in love with about the UK?
Man, your houses cost too much. That's about it.
Are you thinking of moving over here?
Not a lot of space, kind of like our New York problem, but 2 times 3. I was Googling some stuff because I like it over there, and then it's a little pricey.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
To the house that I would want to have over there would be a little bit too pricey. So
yeah, for sure, man. Okay, Foye, last question. We're compiling a menu for players for when they come over, right, of one thing that is missing in the UK. So what is the one thing that you would add to the menu in the UK that you just cannot get over here that you really want?
Food?
Yeah.
Man, I just eat what's in front of me. What on the menu? Dang. Y'all got everything. Y'all got sushi and chicken and I'm not a specialty eater. I couldn't even think of nothing real.
Ross Matasic said
y'all probably got jollof, huh?
Ross Matasic said ranch dressing, and Evan Engram said lemon pepper chicken.
Oh, y'all have lemon pepper?
No, we don't.
Oh, you have that peri sauce.
We got peri over here. Yeah.
Yeah, lemon pepper.
To be fair, you were enjoying when you were over here, man.
I do like it. Y'all have French toast, huh?
Yeah, not so much though. That would be a good one.
Chicken and waffles.
There we go. Chicken and
waffles for brunch. Oh my gosh, I love chicken and waffles. Y'all don't got no chicken and waffles. Y'all need to invest in that. Chicken waffle, little honey butter with the syrup.
I love that. I love that. That's a great answer. Foye, thanks so much for joining us, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, good luck next week, man.
Foye Oluokon, the Jags middle linebacker, of course, speaking to Kee Suren, also known as my co-host on TealTalk. There's a couple of things I want to pick up on, and none of them are NFL related, to be honest, Kee. First of all, chicken and waffles. I think that's a good answer.
Chicken and waffles is excellent, isn't
it? It's a good answer. Have you had chicken and waffles?
I've never heard of it. No, I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of it?
Nope.
You've never heard of chicken and waffles?
I'll be honest, it doesn't sound like a great combo.
I tell you what, it does sound like an odd combo, but it's like with syrup over the top as well. I think you have to sort of bear in mind.
That sounds even worse.
Yeah. I believe I'm correct. I've had it once or twice. It's not so much of a thing here. I'll be honest. It's not so much of a thing here, but I feel like we are on our way to creating a great breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the Jags players, so they feel like when they're over here in the UK in a few weeks' time, then it doesn't feel like they're too far away. A home from home.
I mean, what a culinary day off they're going to have. Jay.
Yeah, exactly. What have we got so far? So we've got Ross Matasic who wants ranch dressing. What did Evan Engram want last week?
And a Cornish pasty.
And a Cornish pasty. I want to be clear. Again, I'm still not convinced of his love for Cornish pasties. I think he was just putting it on. Evan Engram, what did he want?
Lemon pepper chicken.
And now we've got chicken and waffles as well from Foye. So there we go.
Do you know what? As much as people go on about Americans not liking the food over here, dude, I'm going to be outrageous and say I'm not that mad keen on the food in America.
Oof. Oh, should have told that to Foye.
No, I would never say it to someone bigger than me. That's not
yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, the thing is America's so big. That's such a stupid and broad sentence. America's so big, and it means that the culinary delicacies are so varied across the US.
Chicken, waffles, and syrup.
It is nice. It is, honestly. We'll get you to try some. I'll tell you what. I mean, hashtag content. We'll try that in a few weeks' time, Kee. Maybe that's what we can have as we can put that on the TV show.
That's going to be a special episode,
if you've got 90 seconds to fill towards the end of the episode, it's just Kee eating chicken and waffles. And the other thing I want to bring up is, and speaking like a true Brit, is his opinion on house prices.
Yeah.
Love it. I mean, not disagreeing, but like...
And the phrase, the kind of houses I'm looking at.
So, all right, Foye. All right.
He has to move. He asked me if I got a room spare at the end of the interview.
And you went, no, I don't. No, sorry, Foye, I don't.
He's such a nice guy. That was really fun chatting to him.
Yeah, one of your favourite players, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into Duval dispatches, shall we? As you know, Wembley tickets off sale currently. Maybe a limited release later this month. Someone actually said to me recently on social media, they're like, I didn't manage to get Jags tickets. What do I do? And the response then that I gave them, the response is now, keep your eye on Jaguars UK and Ireland social channels, at Jaguars UK and IE on Instagram. You can just keep an eye on it. Like I think there's alerts you can put on. Put on alerts. Jags Weekly UK back this Wednesday. We're going to speak more about it in a second, aren't we, Kee?
Yeah.
Reece is going to catch up with JP Shadrick. He'll get the lowdown on the thoughts following Sunday's game. There's also an interview with Brian Thomas Jr. from our trip to training camp as well. And as we get closer to the London games, we're giving out information about the fan activity that's going to be going on. We're talking pub parties with special guests, in-store signings. It's going to be a chance to watch practice as well. Make sure you subscribe to the Union Jacks newsletter. Follow us on our social channels so you receive all the details. Hopefully, more to add next week about timings and activities and the like. But it's going to be a big few weeks for Jags fans in the UK, isn't it?
I love game week. I love game week in the UK. Oh,
it's that
so
vibe, isn't it? Before, isn't it? Do you know what? It's like Christmas.
It's like a 4 or 5 day party. It's awesome. I absolutely love it. I can't wait, man.
Okay, so let's go. Let's talk into the Sky Show, shall we, Kee?
Okay.
It is back. Last week on the show, you said, "Oh, I don't know what's happening. We've just got so much good stuff. I don't know what to put in." Have you been able to whittle it down? Can you tell us what's going on? Can you tell us when it is?
I can. It will premiere on Wednesday on Sky Sports NFL at 9 p.m. and then there's repeats of the show throughout the week. And the thing I'm looking forward to, there's the highlights, analysis, and all the good stuff. The thing I'm most excited about this week was Brian Thomas Jr. had a good week, and we thought, let's include our interview with Reece and Brian Thomas Jr. And yeah, it's really good fun. And he we don't know him that well, rookie season, so it's nice to spend a bit of time with him and get to know him a little bit better. And his jewelry game is phenomenal.
Oh, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, you've got a good jewelry game. Were you a bit jealous?
Jealous. Well, jealous isn't the word. He has a slightly bigger salary than me, so he can splash out a bit more. But he was but he was so humble. Yeah, lovely guy, cracking jewelry game. That's what I'll say.
And of course, a host of the show, Reece Parkinson. He'll be back for another season, and in fact, he's back on the podcast now, Kee.
He is, yeah. Reece and I sat down in the summer during the player tour to have a chat about his journey to becoming a Jags fan and what it's been like the last couple of years hosting the show and getting to know some of the fans and players a little bit better and stuff.
Could you imagine if he was just haven't enjoyed it?
It's been awful, especially spending time with you, Kee.
Yeah.
Do we have to do? Where's my paycheck?
All right, let's get into it. Reece Parkinson, Kee Ramsuran.
Reece Parkinson.
Yes, Kee.
Host of Jaguars Weekly UK.
Okay.
Tell me how you got to this point. Where did you get into NFL? How did you get into the Jags?
Okay. It's an interesting story. I'll start with NFL because that leads up to doing this show. So for me, I remember it was Madden on Xbox, Madden 08 with Brett Favre as the front cover in a Green Bay jersey. And I remember getting this game and not having a clue how to play it. All I knew was quarterback passes, man catches, and does dance. And I thought, I love this. Why don't other sports do this? So you'd have A, B, Y, X, or whatever to throw to, and then I kind of got to grips with it, and then I'd understand different offenses, and then I remember falling in love with certain players. So Reggie Bush on the Saints, I was like, you can't catch him. He just goes.
Yeah.
And then Chris Johnson on the Titans, I remember being like, he's just unstoppable. And then you start to slowly understand the defense. You kind of get the different cover zones and man-to-man and how that works. And then you try and use the user on defense just as one player instead of just being the D-line. And then you're like, I can mark one of the... And just falling in love with it then going on YouTube, then watching the highlights.
So at that point, you're not watching any NFL, it was just Madden?
Playing.
Yeah.
No access to watching it.
Right.
Well, I'm sure it's on TV, obviously, but not staying up that late to watch it. Secondary school. Going on YouTube, typing Reggie Bush, USC highlights, and other things like that. I remember my friend took me to my first one of the London games. It was Saints versus 49ers. That was the first game I went to. And then it grew like that. And then over the years, I would listen to a lot of the sports broadcasting shows that would touch on, because I was a big NBA fan, NBA NFL, and then some boxing in there, some golf as well. And then you'd kind of just understand these storylines and watch the Super Bowl every year, etc. And then I was on a program called Fighting Talk on BBC Radio 5 Live. And the majority of my answers on that show, because it's like a quick fire question radio show, would be American football. And the producer of that show went to me, I'm working on a show, might be interested, you might say no, but all your answers are usually American football answers. Do you want to host this show called Jaguars Weekly UK? Oh, and do you support a team? And I was like, not really. I followed Cam Newton most of his career, and now he's not got a team. This could work out really well. And then I became a Jags fan and started hosting Jaguars Weekly UK.
How long ago was that, and what is it like having an affinity for a team compared to not having an affinity for a team before that?
That's really interesting. Having an affinity for a team makes you go deeper under the surface on an organisation and a area. So you start to go, what even is Jacksonville? Where is Jacksonville? And what do they stand for? And I kind of knew at the time because I'm a Fulham fan as well. So it was just, everything was very serendipitous in terms of like, you're a Fulham fan. Oh, it'd actually be really nice for a Fulham fan to host a Jaguars show because Mr. Khan owns both. So that worked out really well as well. I would say you start to, on Sundays are a little different because you don't just put on Red Zone. My first thing back in the day was Red Zone, let me just watch them all. Now it's, what time are the Jags on?
Yeah.
And then Red Zone if we got a bye week.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're the difference. And then you fall in love with the players. And then, you know, we have the privilege of actually getting to meet the players, form relationships. I remember last year on the Jags UK Player Tour, we had a few of the players come over, and Josh Allen was one of those players on the tour. And we got super friendly with Josh. You know, you go to the gym in the morning, he's benching a ridiculous amount, and you're like, hey Josh. But during game week at Wembley, we were lucky enough to have access in the tunnel, and you were like, do a piece to camera, and when the players come out and do like, it's time now. And I wasn't expecting anything.
I direct the show. We should say I direct Jaguars Weekly UK. Just for clarification.
Yeah.
Come on, yeah.
You just came from the stands and were like, do a piece of camera. So you were like, you know, do this piece of camera. And I wasn't expecting anything to happen. And when we were doing the piece of camera, Josh Allen, before going out to play at Wembley, during that piece of camera, comes over when we're recording and goes, and then runs out. It was like, oh, we're friends.
Yeah.
And that was really, really cool. Forming relationships with the players and, you know, coaches is awesome. You feel a part of something. Everyone wants to feel a part of something.
So that's amazing. And we're doing that right now. Like right now, we are on the third annual player tour.
Yeah.
So, and it's your second one.
My second one.
So your second one.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk to us a little bit about what those player tours are like, and getting to know the players a little bit and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So the players tour are brilliant because I always feel like it sets up for when we make our trip to Jacksonville. You know, we have a yearly trip. I've only done one last year. I've been only hosting the show since last year. We did a trip to Jacksonville, and because you've met some of the players, going to Jacksonville, it's not all foreign to you. So like I was saying about Josh Allen, you go there, and this year we've got Ross Matisic, Foye Oluokon as well, and then Coach Heath. So going there, you know, to Jacksonville, you're there and you feel much more at home. So, you know, if Dewey sees you chilling with Ross, he's more likely to come over and be like, oh, Ross thinks you're cool, that must mean, so you have more access. And, you know, in media, it's all about, as you know, having access to the players, making them feel comfortable. Again, for the London game, when we're in the locker room after a win, everyone's ecstatic and they just usually want to chill with themselves and do that. No, because we know Josh, because we've worked with him on the player tour, in the locker room, he's like, he's going, you know, you can't buy that. Media and journalists can't really buy that.
It makes the show better to watch. It makes it better for the fans. And I just think, like, actually, do you know what, right? The Jags are an organisation where everyone is super friendly, and everyone we meet is so friendly, and I think forming those relationships makes the show better for fans.
It has to, because that's the interesting thing. My role in the show, the Jags, because we have such a close tie with the UK, we do have a lot of UK and Ireland fans.
Yeah.
Draft day, and you've had him
Yeah.
on the pod. Stevie.
Yeah.
Stevie could tell you every player on our roster we've had since the franchise was even a thing.
Yeah.
I can't do that. Jamie, one of the super fans,
Yeah.
that goes to a lot of the player tour events that we do
Yeah.
in the community events, can tell you every play that Doug would have made last year. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I've always said from the outset, I'm on a learning journey
Yeah.
to learn more about this franchise, fall in love with this franchise, because in my opinion, that's the journey that everyone goes through. The only thing is I just happen to be doing it on camera, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm never going to pretend that I can tell you every single player since the start of the franchise. But our fan base is so diverse that I think that's why, you know, when we go there, those people tend to show us a lot of love when we interact with them, because they're aware they can see themselves in what we're doing on the show,
Yeah.
just like they did. For not we're doing it, we're just doing it on camera. I think that's the good thing about this show, is we're not trying to be experts. Never said we are. We're trying to have the same journey that a new fan will have when they first go to Wembley, just like I did, and go, I love the logo, I love Trevor's hair,
Yeah.
I love Travis Etienne. Like, that's how you fall in love with it.
So talk to me about what it's like, because now we'll go to Wembley, we'll go to Spurs, we'll go to the JD Sports events, the player signings, and people see Reece and they recognise Reece. How's that part of it been for you, like meeting the fans? And
Amazing. I love sports, you know, and when you're a face of a show, that just makes it even better, because it's some kind of, there's like almost like pattern recognition. When we go to these events, go, oh, here you are, Jags Head 123 on Twitter, or some, you know, I'm just saying a username.
Yeah.
It's like, it's that time again. It's Wembley time again.
Yeah.
It's JD Sports on Wembley week. It's that time again. They're at the front of the queue. We see them. There's some familiarity.
Yeah.
That's what it is, and that's why the Jags in the UK are almost more of a family than fans of the team. And the best thing is, on their Facebook groups, on the Twitter groups, they all go to the meetups. People give each other lifts. That's very rare for not football/soccer. You know, we've seen that throughout the years. For American football and a team to come over here and have that kind of fan base, that's pretty incredible.
so talk to me about that, about how you feel about what the Jags are doing in the UK and Ireland in terms of growing the game, because like we've also been going to like loads of community events where we see really young kids doing Jag Tag, and then the older generation doing the BAFA clinics as well.
Yeah, this game is super complicated, right?
Yep.
It is. You know, I try and...
Dude, it took me a full season to learn. Like when I got into it, it was a full season before I started
truly
to understand.
understood.
Yeah.
You know, so same as I watch it. Say if I watch it with my girlfriend, for example, like I find myself going, God, it's actually really hard to try and explain. Just how I got into the game was so hard. Understanding the downs, you're like, it took me about a week to understand a first down. But why 10 yards? Who decided that? You know.
Yeah.
So you have like, but the community events take it to the basics, and that's the best thing to let kids. Like I said, throw, pass, catch, dance.
Right.
You know that meme where it's like the mid-curve meme?
Yeah.
You have the person that hasn't got a clue that goes, I'm putting 50,000 on this random meme coin, and it goes up and he 100x's his money. Then you have the person in the middle studying all the things and going, actually, I think we should trade for this person because this person has a better overall accuracy on a fourth down. His fourth down conversion rate is... And then you have the guy who's a Jedi on the far card that goes, just trust Trevor.
Yeah.
It's like, for the community events, just keep it at that left-hand side.
Yeah.
Throw, ball, catch, dance.
Yeah.
That's fun. What do they do at the community events? What do they ask every player when they come over?
How do you celebrate a touchdown? Yep.
That's what's going to get the kids involved.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to remember because they see it on TikTok and stuff like that. But the community events are awesome, and the best thing is people care. You know, we have people here, Andy, for example, in an organisation that, you know, is in charge of the community events here in the UK and Ireland. That man truly cares how the event goes, and he treats it like Sunday. He treats it like Doug treats it on Sunday. He's serious because he wants kids to fall in love with the game that he loves. I want kids to fall in love with the game that we love. and even adults as well. When it's not just kids that go to community events. That we work with university teams, UK teams, American football teams that are set up to give them a chance to learn from Foye, to give them a chance to learn how to tackle with Josh, to give them a chance to get your positioning right with Devin Lloyd. Like, how cool? When do you see a football team do that, as in a soccer team do that? Very rare do you see, I don't know, Haaland go to a community event and do three in a week in three different cities and teach a kid how to score.
Yeah.
You don't?
Yeah. Back-to-back games this year.
Cool, innit?
Cool.
It's cool, isn't it? It's the best.
Leave it at that.
It's cool. Cool, innit? Yeah.
Dude, you're awesome.
But really, show it.
Leave it at that.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it, Kee? It's cool. It's pretty cool.
I think Reece might have been done.
He might have been done at the end of that. Eloquent man.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It was so fun. Like I spent quite a lot of time with Reece, but it was really nice hearing his journey into it and how much he's enjoyed it since then. That was nice.
Reece will be back. The show is premiering Wednesday, Kee.
The show premieres on Wednesday every week on Sky Sports NFL at 9 p.m. and then there are repeats throughout the week.
Okay, fantastic. Let's talk Cleveland Browns, week 2 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hopefully my setup will have improved by then and I'll feel slightly more stress-free watching, maybe less games
I've bought 4 more screens ready for this Sunday.
Yeah. Look, it was a disappointing week 1 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was a disappointing week 1 for the Cleveland Browns, losing to the Dallas Cowboys as well in Tom Brady's first game, actually, as a color commentator, of course. 33-17. Week 1, the Cleveland Browns. It wasn't a good game for the Cleveland Browns.
No, I think it was worse for Browns fans than it was for Jags fans because they didn't look good, did they, mate?
There wasn't a lot of hope, I think. Not a lot of hope. That's not necessarily fair. There wasn't a load of positive things from a Browns perspective, I think.
No.
Deshaun Watson didn't look good. He hasn't really had a brilliant Cleveland Browns career, has he? Since he left the Houston Texans. 24 for 45, so that's like 53% completion percentage, which we know is not great. 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. What I think is, and I remember thinking this as soon as I saw the Browns play, I remember thinking this Jags, it still is to be fair, the Jags' first few games, it was tough on paper. And obviously there's that loss to Miami. Week 2 against the Cleveland Browns, I feel like this is the Jags. The Jags can win this.
I completely agree. I think this is a chance for redemption this week. I think they looked so poor in week 1, the Browns,
that is.
That this is a chance for the Jags to solidify some confidence and go, everything's all right. We're fine.
Yeah, in Jacksonville as well. So first home game of the season too.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah, so hopefully it's something that the Jags can exploit Cleveland's weaknesses, which were, pretty obvious on display against, a good Dallas team, granted. The Browns have had a good defense over the last few years. They've had Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is obviously injured. He's been injured for a while now, so he will not be playing. It's going to be an interesting game, but this, from a Jags perspective, I think is a game that you look at and you think Browns weren't good in week 1. Their quarterback was not good in week 1. He hasn't actually proven much whilst being in a Cleveland, uniform. No. This is something that hopefully we can, we can get the first win of the season. And again, hard first few games, but you come out of week 2 and you're 1-1. You don't feel awful about that, do you?
No, exactly. And let's be honest, 0-1 isn't that bad when you've faced an elite team in week 1. It really isn't that bad. And let's not forget, right? Browns last year, they did really well, but they didn't do that with Deshaun Watson. They did that with Joe Flacco. Yeah. So that's something to bear in mind. Another thing is, I'm not an offensive coordinator, as you know, Jay.
Oh,
but
whoa.
I would
We've had loads of breaking news on the show today.
I would seriously think about putting all 5 of the offensive line on Myles Garrett this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're definitely not an offensive coordinator. Yeah. I don't think that 5 offensive linemen on Myles Garrett is the answer.
Is that
Key?
No?
I'm going to put it out there and say that I
This
think
is
that
why
would
I
be a
didn't get the
poor
job,
idea.
isn't it? That's
Yeah,
why I
that's
didn't
why
get the offensive
job.
coordinator's job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That is a good point, though. I mean, there's not a lot of teams that have elite, defensive ends or edge rushers, and this is a team. This is a defensive player of the year, of course, in Myles Garrett. That means it's going to be tough no matter who you're playing. But you did say earlier on that you think the O-line improved in that game against the Dolphins, so it's about continuing that improvement, and I suppose it's really showing how much they've improved when they play against Myles Garrett. Okay, let's do the prediction. So last week, it's fair to say that with every single week, we're basically going to keep a prediction table, prediction tally. There's me, there's Key, and then there is the fans pick. Now, we don't have the fan on this week, so instead we have Reece Parkinson. We just heard him, of course, speaking to Key from the TV show. He's going to be playing the role of the fan this week, predicting. Key, would you like to remind us how we did last week?
Was it 0, 0, 0?
Yes, it was 0, 0, 0.
Got it wrong.
Yeah, that was 0, 0, 0. We'll move past that one quickly. All three of us, we are giving score predictions, and all three of us said the Jags were going to win, and they didn't. So we'll get on to this week. Should we hear Reece's first? I have Reece's prediction in front of me.
Yeah, I like that.
Jags versus Browns. He's given Jags 17, Browns 14.
Ooh.
What do we think?
I think that's quite good. I think we can definitely hold them to 14. I think that's quite good. I think it's quite good.
Can we say last week, by the way, we had Britt Jag on, who said it was going to be like, what was it? He said it was going to be like...
He said 24-14 to the Jags. But the thing that I said was like, there's no way we hold Miami to 40. But dude, he was
close.
not far off. Yeah, he was not far off.
And what was yours? Yours was absurd, wasn't it? It was like 40.
Mine was absurd. It was like, it was 41-30.
Yeah, idiot. Your prediction, please.
Wait till you hear this week.
Okay, well, shall I go first? I'm going to go first, because last week yours was so ridiculous that I feel like it needs to be the one that was last. So my prediction this week is Jacksonville Jaguars 21... Cleveland Browns 17. I think that the Jags have it. I think the Jags have it. I have more confidence this week actually than I had last week. I think the Jags have it. That doesn't mean that it's not necessarily going to be close though.
Yeah.
And your prediction? Give me the absurd prediction where it gets to overtime. Cam Little, does a handstand and manages to get the field goal to win.
There's nothing absurd about this.
Okay, go on.
At all. Jags 24.
Yep.
Cleveland Browns 10.
Oh.
Ross Matasic will score a touchdown this week.
Should we just end the episode now? Should we just end it? Ross Matasic to score a touchdown.
Genuinely, I think 24-10. I think that is a solid prediction. The Ross Matasic thing,
maybe
just
not
being silly.
24-10. That is, but again, that's so confident though, isn't it? That is so confident. You've given them a 14-point swing on that.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see who gets closest next week. Or we'll hopefully won't continue the 0-0-0 in the table so far. Thank you, by the way. We do have podcast stats, by the way. And we are not against, if you're, however you're listening, whether you're listening on the podcast, if you're on YouTube, whatever, we are not against you clicking that like button or that subscribe button.
We love that.
In fact,
we love that.
It makes us feel good. And it does mean, we do have stats. And I just want to say thank you to that one guy or girl in Kazakhstan for listening. Do appreciate that. It's always good, isn't it? It's always good to know. That's it for today, though, on Teal Talk, the official podcast for Jacksonville Jaguars in the UK and Ireland. So thank you so much for listening. Subscribe. You will not miss an episode on your podcast, on YouTube. We are back next week. This has been a Shooting Shark production for Jaguars UK and Ireland. Enjoy week 2. Back same time, same place next week.